everyone, and thanks for taking time today to join us. I'll try and be as quick as possible, a lot of data to cover. But I am Steve Jones, as you heard. I'm with Dodge Data and Analytics. I was in architecture for about 20 years, and then did 4 years as an executive with Primavera, which was a great experience. It really plugged me into the whole global construction economy. And I've been with Dodge now for 16 years, and I head up our research group. And we focus on how technology advances and process improvements are impacting all aspects of the global construction industry. Hopefully you're aware of these free reports that we make available to the whole industry. They're called Smart Market Reports and Briefs. They talk about technology. We've got ones a lot about sustainability, and then all kinds of things that are happening in the practice of design and construction. BIM itself, we've done probably 15 different studies. Here's a sample of them. We're doing some that are regional studies. We've done some that are specifically vertical, infrastructure, green, contractors, how people are doing metrics. Really, please take advantage of these things. Like I say, they're free. They're all sponsored in advance by folks who want us to go out and do the kind of quantitative analysis that you're going to see through the rest of my presentation today, and to share it as broadly as we possibly can. So where are we at this point in our industry? That guy on the left looked like me for about 15 years in my practice. I did a lot of drafting. And my firm was one of the early adopters of BIM. And so we came to understand kind of that second wave of disruption about how you can then use digital information to actually optimize a design, right? You can optimize the construction of it. You can optimize the design performance of it. It's really about optimization. Where we're at now, though, is the era of connection, because part of the problem that we saw in our research on BIM was that we were building these silos of excellence, right? Everybody got really good at modeling within their little world, but they weren't sharing very effectively. So what we're all about now is, okay, how do we take all these disparate players, pull them together into an ecosystem that's really highly functional, because everyone's sharing and is capable of sharing digital information rather than drawings. So it's all about connected BIM at this point, plus the ever-growing power of the cloud. So part of our exploration of this, Autodesk asked us to do these studies about connected BIM. So we broke it into 3 different areas. The first one there, you'll see Connected Design Insight. That's about computational and generative design. Then we got into how you connect design to construction. And then at the third one was about connecting teams and how people are using cloud-based platforms in order to be much more effective at connecting. So this came from a survey we did, total of 871 respondents. We had architects, we had engineers, we had the GCs and CMs, and we also had a lot of trades, both the detailers and the fabricators and the specialty contractors themselves. So we really wanted to get everyone's perspective, right, about how these things are pulling together in a new and much more productive way. We made sure everybody did mostly buildings. So this set of studies is mostly about buildings, not about civil. Everybody who responded is a BIM user. And you'll see, I refer several times, and you'll see if you download these reports, we break out a lot between those that we call low BIM engagement, those are in the shallow end of the BIM pool. They're doing half of their projects with BIM or fewer, versus high engagement, who are doing more than half their projects with BIM now. And you'll see some really interesting differences that flow out of that. So for today, we're not going to focus on the generative and computational design part. We're just going to focus on this connecting design and construction, and then I'll show you a bit about the connected teams findings that we had. So looking at this report, the Connecting Design and Construction, as Annalisa referenced it, for this we wanted to focus a lot on MEP and structural, and how both the engineers and the trades and the architects and the GCs all collaborate more effectively by becoming more connected with what they're doing in BIM. So we start with what are their overall perspectives on BIM, then we get more specifically into engineers and trades, then this thing we call the integrated BIM workflow, which I'll show you the definition that we use, and then some of the findings that we had around that, and then some of the things that are in this report that give examples by industry leaders. So let me take you quickly through this, but please, take advantage of these. They're free. Annalisa can hook you up with them, and I'll show you a link at the end. You can get them directly from us, whichever you want to do. So, the value of BIM overall. One of the things that we wanted to make sure that we did was to establish that there's clearly a value that people are perceiving out of their use of BIM. All right, so do they improve collaboration? Yeah, wow. Even the people who are in the shallow end of the BIM pool primarily are saying, oh, absolutely. And then the rest of these, we think of as being those that eliminate unnecessary rework, reducing materials costs, using the cloud-based technologies to allow people to connect more quickly, BIM tools that engage the supply chain. Anything that we see that's more than 50% of the BIM users are saying, yes, I definitely am experiencing this, we call those established benefits. And how we differentiate that is to say that, look, even if you're fairly new to this, you can expect that those are benefits you're going to get fairly soon, right? And here we differentiate between those of the dark blue line, or the heavy BIM users, versus the lighter blue line. So you can see, the more BIM you're using, right, the more you're getting these benefits. So this is very much a virtuous cycle. And we broke that same data down here so you can see it by design professionals, right, where the structural engineers over all those things tend to report the highest level of those values. And among the contractors, you really see they're all above the group average. MEP engineers a little bit lower than others, and you're going to see that as a trend through. They're lagging a bit in a number of ways. So we wanted to find out, all right, what are the challenges that you're facing around doing BIM implementation? All right, and so is BIM skill an obstacle? To what degree? And so this you'll see across all 6 of these subgroups here. The MEP engineers and the trades, frankly, report that they're struggling the most finding people who can work with them and actually engage effectively with BIM. We looked at technology-related obstacles. We looked at 3 different ones. First, you'll see here what people say about the high cost of software. That's where the MEP engineers are really saying that they're in the most pain, with the GCs after that. Interoperability, nobody was really more than 50% on that, right? So that doesn't seem to be overall a major pain point. Hardware upgrades, those were tougher, especially here where you'll see the MEP engineers were really complaining about those hardware upgrades. Then we took them all and averaged them, right? Architects, structural engineers, et cetera. You can see overall, it's those MEP engineers that are struggling the most with technology-related obstacles. And interestingly, the MEP trades are absolutely the least concerned. They're the ones that are kind of most on board and least troubled by any of these obstacles. So then we asked them to look 5 years in the future. All right, you're using BIM today, you know what kinds of benefits it's providing you. Where do you think it's going? All right, where do you see this developing for you? How's it going to be impacting you in the future? And we gave them these 6 alternatives here. Tools that allow visual and creative insight to produce better design alternatives faster. Intelligent models that lead to more consistent and coordinated contract deliverables. BIM-based processes producing better coordinated shop deliverables. Single source of truth, right, in that model. The integration of analysis and code-based design with 3D models, and the ability to visually simulate project delivery timelines for estimation coordination. So you see here among the design professionals, overall, in general, the architects are the most enthusiastic about all these things being really powerful benefits in the future. Among the contractors, the MEP trades were the most enthusiastic among all these construction disciplines. And you can see they're color-coded here, for sort of the intensity of the number that we're responding to these, seeing that these are going to be, they believe these will be really important for them over the next 5 years. As you take it and just average all of those together, again, it's a good way to kind of look at who's leading and who's lagging. And again, the MEP engineers struggling now and not that enthusiastic about the future. So this is not trying to point a finger at these folks as much as to say we need to help them. Okay, it's clear that we need to help them advance and feel more comfortable and get more engaged. So digging a little bit deeper into BIM engineers and trades, we asked the architects, we said, in the markets where you work, the geographic regions where you're working, can you find folks who are BIM savvy, who are BIM ready, who can come and play BIM with you? To what degree are you finding that that's available to you? Structural engineers are really pretty good, right? 3/4 of them saying, I never have a problem with structural engineers. That's great. Not so much with the others, especially civil, right? This is where we added civil just to sort of test this, and it really is still very much emerging, all right? And then you can see how it goes into the low, medium number of firms, or, even just not sure. Civil and electrical, frankly, are still what we would call developing. So we asked GCs the same thing about trades, okay? In the markets you work, can you go and find trades who will come with BIM skills, right? Mechanical trades, right up there, right? Almost 2/3 are saying, I got no problem finding that. The other one's okay, but you want to see stronger numbers here, right? And as you can see, the concrete is where we're really struggling, right? And again, I'm not trying to point a finger at them. I'm trying to say, look, we need to help the concrete trades to engage and adopt BIM and become able to work with everybody else. So kind of like we all hear now with masks, right? Are you requiring masks? Are you encouraging masks? Or are you ignoring masks, right? We did the same thing with BIM requirements. All right, are you requiring it, or are you only encouraging it, or are you have no BIM policy whatsoever? And here's where you see really striking differences between the folks in the deep end of the BIM pool, which is the top bar, versus the folks in the shallow end of the BIM pool. I mean, dramatic differences here. BIM is required among architects to bring their engineers on board. Those architects in the deep end of the pool, half of them are saying absolutely required. Most of the rest of them are encouraging it, right? Not nearly so much, though, with the folks who aren't doing that much BIM. So this is one of those things that as you do it, you mature, you realize, my God, it's not about us being good at BIM. We got to have everybody being able to play effectively, all right? And then for structural engineers, almost the same sort of numbers, all right? Civil engineers, we're in our infancy on this, guys. We really need to find ways to engage civil engineers more effectively in this because they play an important role in buildings and then especially in civil work. So we said, well, okay, so here's how you see the availability. What are you doing about it? Are you putting policies in place with GCs for MEP trade contractors, okay? You're seeing really great numbers here with GCs and plumbing trades and electrical trades. A lot of folks really requiring it who are in the deep end. Really dramatic drop-off, though, for those in the shallow end. All right, so, I mean, going from 21 to 91, really, really big drop-off. So the more experience that these GCs have, they really know for absolutely sure we have got to make sure that we're bringing on trade contractors who can work in this BIM environment. So the percentages of the GCs that report each of the 3 levels of requirements here for structural, you'll see with the steel, it's pretty good, but it really falls off with concrete. So again, as an industry, we've got to focus on this. We've really got to find a way to bring the concrete players in with us because they're such an important aspect of all of our projects. So what's good about it? You're bringing people in, they've got the skills, you're doing more integration of your workflows. What's getting better? All right. And then using that kind of 50% mark that we do for calling something an established benefit, at least among those heavy users, you're seeing all top 4 here. Better on-site coordination, materials and installation, improved quality of the final building, overall project, schedule control and compliance, and same with cost and budget compliance. Overall safety is still emerging. We track that every time we do a safety report every 2 years, and we track the impact of BIM on safety, and it is having a growing impact, so we're going to see those numbers rise over time, but that one's still emerging. And then we want to know among the trades, are you doing it internally or are you outsourcing? So as you can see here with the high engagement trades, fewer of them are outsourcing heavily. The low engagement folks are doing a bit more of the outsourcing. And we then followed up to say, among those who are outsourcing, are you doing it offshore? How many of you are going offshore? And, you know, you can see a fair amount of people are using some of these offshore resources, of which there are multiple, many ones that you can take advantage of. So any of you who are doing this, this is a way to benchmark yourselves against your peers. Then we got into really the heart of this thing, which is what we call the integrated BIM workflow. Let me show you that definition that we used. The integrated workflow, 4 sets of coordinated multi-party activities. So first, it's really getting the engineers to use that model, all right, to create whether it's structural MEP. They're using the modeling tools to do the code check, producing their design documents, and coordinating design with the other disciplines, all right? So they're doing good modeling. Then they're sharing that model with detailers who are working off that same digital data, all right, to do their shop drawings or erection plans or whatever that is. And the third piece of it is, as that integrated workflow continues, these NC files, the shop drawings, the reports automatically transferred to the fabricator, right to their shop floor. So you're not losing that information as it passes from hand to hand. And then to complete that, those detailers, 3D models coming back into design to say this is what actually got built and validating the accuracy and confirming the installation, right? That's what we call the fully integrated workflow, those 4 stages. So at any time in that process, the model is getting shared back and forth and iterated upon. We wanted to know about the frequency, the benefits, and where people think it's going in the future. So you can see here about the frequency, the findings that we had among MEP engineers, trades, structural trades, GCs. And so you can see how many people are doing it on more than half their projects, you know, not too out of line with the numbers that we just saw with you guys. Here are the folks who said it's happening on less than half of my projects. And most people are still in that emerging stage. And so, you know, we love tracking this stuff over time, all right? So we're going to come back to this in a couple of years, and we're going to see, hopefully, a whole lot more dark blue, right? And very little of the light blue. So what's good about it? We dug into several aspects to try and get people to define why it is that this is a good thing to do. And we start early in the process with the design, detailing, and fabrication. And you can see here the average across all those was 55%. So those that were above average were way better communications during that whole process and actually producing better coordinated design in less time, all right, and producing better coordinated shops. The ones that are a little bit below average but still pretty doggone good are reducing duplication of tasks, providing accurate estimates, all right, and minimizing the impact of design changes on detailing and requiring fewer iterations. So with the lowest one being 42%, these are actually pretty great results. I really love that one. It fits with so many other things that we find in all of our reports, is that better collaboration and better communication is happening everywhere in the world. It's just a wonderful aspect of modeling. Then we move to the next phase of installation and handover with these 3, is that reducing errors in the field and installation. Almost 2/3 are saying, yeah, it does, way above average. Being able to track material status in the field and doing your as-builds, you know, still kind of emerging, and safety, as I mentioned before, we're tracking it, hoping that it's going to grow, but it's still somewhat of an emerging benefit. And then when you look at the finished projects, are they better? Wow, improved schedule performance and a better quality project, above average, very strong results for that. Reducing material waste and improving your company's profitability, pretty doggone good, as well as reducing costs. So when we break it down by, you know, who said what are the top benefits of this integrated workflow by company type, among the design professionals here, among the engineers, the better communication, you know, came out first for everybody. And again, this is in the report. I don't need to spend a lot of time on it here. You can look at it more carefully because we also have it among the 3 kinds of contractors. You know, what's actually most important to each one of the players. It's important to know where their benefits are. Then we said, all right, let's look at the future. Where's this going to be going? How many of you think each of these is going to be really important for you? And I love that first one. Having spent 20 years in design, having everybody, all these folks on the team, the whole ecosystem saying, number one, we think that this is going to help us better realize design intent. Hallelujah. I just love that. And then right after that, enabling the teams to work more collaboratively, which frankly gets us to that first one. Then increasing owner confidence. That's a terrific benefit, right, during design and construction. Attracting and training technology-savvy workforce to you as your own company. Allowing firms to complete more work with less labor, and innovating the use of new materials. So in this report, I won't spend much time on it today, but you'll see we've got some really interesting case studies of what people are doing who are engaging in this integrated workflow. We've got structural integration with fabrication on really complex projects like this one. We've got BIM to fabrication workflow and MEP. We've got design and construction team coordination. We've got integration that's working around structural, specifically in steel in this case, with really complex design, right, that was difficult to figure out. You can imagine what this would have been in drawings, right? So much more successful to get the whole team working together to make this work out with BIM. And then, field work. To all the crazy problems you run into, right? Misaligned rods and stuff. How do you deal with that? You run a laser scan, you come up with solutions, you share them with everybody. I mean, it's just so much more effective and quick to get this stuff done right to fix field-based problems. So good stuff to dig into here as inspirational examples. So let's spend a few minutes looking at the other report that's part of this three-part series, because without connecting the teams, all right, I mean, you really have some difficulty making any of this stuff work. Again, you're trying to break down these silos of excellence which have been built and connect them with each other so that everybody experiences better performance in all kinds of their workflows. So we looked at the benefits of the project collaboration solutions that people are using. Our project teams equipping owners with it, right, so that everybody can take advantage of it and the owner will drive it. And then how many people are actually working on project delivery formats that are collaborative. So in terms of the benefits here, we broke this down with 3 different types, and I'm about to ask you your next poll question, but so it's important to plug into this a little bit. Whether somebody is using what's known as an FTP site, and those have been around for a number of years, a lot of contractors put them in place. It's really a centralized server that's typically controlled by a project team member. It's most often the GC, with very project-specific permissions, allowing upload and download. It's kind of single point stuff. Second was these more generic cloud solutions like Dropbox or Box. They're not AEC specific, right, but they're cloud hosted as opposed to being on somebody's centralized server. And they're for file sharing, viewing, markup. Those are way more collaborative. And then there's, of course, a number that are absolutely AEC specific that have been developed by folks in our industry, Autodesk, Bentley, eBuilder. There's a whole bunch of them out there that are really built around AEC workflows. So we dug into where people are finding the benefits here. And as I've mentioned before, we tend to break things down between those that we call established, when you get more than half the folks saying, absolutely, I get this benefit when I do this, to maturing to those that are emerging. And you can see these established benefits of using this stuff. People are saying, yes, this reduces project error, it reduces data friction, it reduces the time required for communications and workflows and decisions, just streamlines all that process, increases client satisfaction with greater project visibility and input. And a happy client makes everything go smoother, as we all know. And delivering high quality, more creative design projects, right? Because you can really engage other people's expertise to help you refine and optimize your design solutions before you put them out for construction. And the other ones we would classify as maturing if they go from that 50% down to 25, enabling more advanced implementation of BIM, reducing the need for physical co-location and those associated costs, right? The big room for IPD especially, and for a lot of lean projects, is a thing. But here in our new COVID world, this reduction for need for co-location and associated costs is really a powerful benefit. And I bet when we go back to do this again, we're going to see that one skyrocket. Winning more work by being able to participate in collaborative project delivery models. And then the last ones are still emerging. So one of the things which we wanted to find out is how many folks are going out there and actually helping their owners set one of these up, right? Because we've seen the owner appear several times with the benefits and owner engagement. Everybody knows a more engaged owner makes a better project all the way across. So big difference between those in the shallow end of the BIM pool and those in the deep end of the BIM pool between how many folks are doing it. But you're seeing a lot of GCs now, 38% of them, those high engagement ones are actually getting their owners to set these things up, I think, which is a great solution. And architects, not too bad either, 30% of them. I expect to see these numbers grow somewhat when we come back and revisit this down the road. So the percentage of respondents by discipline here, this just takes that same data, kind of breaks it down by player types. You get to see what some of the highest numbers are here and who values what the most. And again, this is important if you to have a truly integrated team. It's very important to understand what the benefits and the motivations are of all those other players, right? What they're bringing to the table, what they're getting out of this. It's very useful to understand this holistically as opposed to just in your silo, what's meaningful for you, right? And so that better client understanding, the architects and the GCs are the ones, typically contracted directly to that owner, are the ones who are almost unanimously saying, oh my God, that's fantastic. Love that. And also very high scores for that client design team relationship. And then you're seeing the overall improvement of the design solution, the faster decision making, and the fewer design changes during the process. All really difficult things to achieve any other way, things that we all have struggled with forever during our careers. This is really making meaningful, impactful difference. And then lastly, we wanted to find out how many folks are working in actual integrated forms of delivery in some way, which kind of legislate this more collaborative and integrated behavior as opposed to just your classic design bid build. So this is what we found among the folks, the 800 or so that responded to our surveys. The design build, that's been around for a long time. A lot of people have been engaged in that. My firm, even though it was, we practiced a lot in Pennsylvania and it's not quite legal there, we were doing a lot of it anyway. The other ones, you weren't seeing quite that strong usage of, but a lot of interest, right? A lot of people actually want to get to where they can do that. We thought that was super encouraging, right? Pretty cool stuff. So, Annalisa can hook you up with these reports, or you can go to our site where all 50 or 60 of these reports like this are all there, and they're all free for download at construction.com, toolkit reports. You'll see on the right there, the big images are the covers themselves of the reports. In order to be a little more explanatory to people coming to our site, our report site, we put a little bit longer title to them so people can understand a little bit more about what's in them. But that's what that looks like when you go to our site. You'll see those icons there, and you can just click on them, open them up, or please help yourself to anything else. So what do we learn from all this? As you saw all the way through, and as you look at these reports, and all three of these reports, you'll see the high engagement users are way, way, way more engaged in getting those benefits, right? So this is such a virtuous cycle. The more BIM you're doing, the better BIM gets for you, right? And BIM requirements are beginning to become industry standard for trades, but here I got to scold my architectural brethren a little bit. We're being a little bit lax about not being as vigilant with mask wearing, our BIM version of mask wearing, here with bringing engineers onto the team who can really, really participate well with you in this digital workflow. So what are the challenges? BIM skills, still a strong challenge, and especially for the MEP engineer. So however we as an industry can help them, this is an area that will clearly help all of us. That's the point now, is that helping one helps all. Almost all respondents have had some level of engagement of this, right? But it's a powerful tool and it's a powerful process. It shows a lot of very strong benefits for those who are engaged in it. It's definitely worth exploring with your project teams, all right, with your structural and MEP teams to make this much more integrated workflow, right? Because over half of the folks who are engaged in it are citing better collaboration from design all the way through installation, fewer field errors, all those kinds of top benefits that you saw here that are very difficult to achieve, just by writing tougher contracts or yelling at people louder or whatever. This is getting at it really systemically, fundamentally, in how we do what we do, just makes the results so much stronger. And the collaborative process itself overall is growing. There's strong benefits to the use of these collaboration platforms. And even though we didn't get, majority usage of these collaborative delivery models, there's certainly high interest in them. So I expect we're going to see more creative, especially just this idea of teaming agreements in general. They don't have to be one of the standard ones. A lot of people are going to come up with interesting ways to work together to support these digital workflows. So this is a really, really exciting time in our industry. I mean, we are, I think, about a third of the way through what will be about a 30-year complete transformation of our entire industry. It will be unrecognizable a couple of decades out from now. So you're going to have increasingly intelligent models, right, that can connect to so many sources. Please also take a look at that generative and computational design report that's part of this three-part series, because people being able to tap into amazing databases of information and benchmarking information and stuff to pull into design phase, and using artificial intelligence to pull into that design phase to make the design itself so much stronger, as well as so much more constructible. And you're just going to get a big growth of integrated model-based workflow processes with more and more people being engaged. We work with a lot of the industry suppliers, the building product manufacturers and distributors. They're all keenly interested in this. They want to know how they can play. That's kind of the next wave that you're going to see of folks being able to actually get engaged, right? So you're going to be able to tap into that as you're thinking about design. You're going to be able to tap right into the supply of the manufacturer of all those materials and products available to you. It's just going to become a super exciting world to work in as we create these one-of-a-kind assets that we do.